Why did the last deal that you worked so darn hard on did not convert? What happened? Well, I could take a guess, and I know exactly why it didn't do so. Actually, my guest knows exactly why. And he wasn't even part of the conversation. Check out this episode and see if we're not right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. On this episode, I have an amazing guest, Jake Stahl. Jake and I got a chance to connect recently, and we were talking about this idea of the behavior, the consumer behavior, the buyer behavior. And what are some of the things that we may be doing as a seller that's repelling our customers, our prospects from actually doing business with us? Why in the world they're not working with us? Why in the world did that last deal not close? My good friend Jake is going to lay out some ideas today. If this is your first time listening to our podcast, please consider subscribing. And here's why. Because each episode we're going to dive into and give you tips and strategies of how you can better, one, build pipeline, new deals, get new opportunities, and two, how you can convert those deals at a higher rate. If this makes sense, subscribe, tell someone else about it. As we dive into the episode today, you'll hear how Jake and I break down to this challenge and the issue that we're facing and how sometimes our customers are just not too excited to work with us. We're repelling them. We're pushing them away. And some simple fixes that we can do. As we go in, you'll get a chance to hear about Jake's expertise. He's worked with hundreds, over 10,000 sellers across the globe. He's worked with teams in many different industries, and he's seen the same patterns. He has a lot of neurolinguistic programming skills and understanding as well, and just understanding consumers and buyers' behaviors. It's fascinating, it's interesting, and you're going to love it. When we dive in, you'll see how we go into this problem, how and why sellers are having struggles when it comes to their buyers actually converting. Check it out. Jake, welcome to the show.
Oh, Donald, thanks for having me on. This is quite the honor.
Well, I'm really looking forward to this conversation. We talked a little bit a while ago, specifically around how our customers oftentimes aren't necessarily buying from us. And we want to know why that's the case. Why are these people not, and I guess you can't really call them customers yet, but they're a prospect. Why are they not buying? And I want to dive into that conversation. I bragged about you a little bit in a teaser, but tell me, what makes you so passionate about this particular topic, Jake?
Donald, I've been doing this for 30 years. I've done it across 6 countries and 47 states. And I get discouraged by the fact that we will take 40 minutes to look up a cat video we saw 3 years ago because it was funny. And yet we won't take 5 minutes to just practice communication, look up how to better communicate and read about it. So I made it my life. I have a degree in psychology, master's certification in neurolinguistic programming, and I've studied enough social psychology that somebody owes me an honorary degree. Whatever university wants to step up, I'm good with it.
All right, guys, if you know any universities, go ahead and pass this on to them so they can take advantage of this opportunity. Come on. Gosh, dang it. You can walk this year. But I'm really fascinated by this idea, and what you go back to is some basic stuff too, where oftentimes sellers will not want to do the proper research because of the feeling that I know this, I've got this, I've done this before, and in actuality, it's a disservice that they're performing to their customer and to their organization. So this sets the stage well, but why people are not buying from us, maybe surface level, let's talk about that. I might, as a seller, I'm going to throw out some excuses, and you just go along with me, all right? Because
Sure.
I know you've heard this. Well, the economy is terrible, so that's why people aren't buying. My competitors are much better than we are. They have X feature and we don't. We don't have. We need to offer this discount or whatnot. But this is why those customers aren't buying, boss. I'm coming to you and pitching all this stuff. Is that the case? Is that the reason why my customers aren't buying? And granted, it could be some of those situations, but is that the main reason people aren't buying from me, Jake? Don't hurt me too
and
bad.
to your point, Donald, there are occasions where that's the case. I mean, let's face it, there is no 100% rule here. But I think as salespeople, well, I don't think, I know as salespeople, we tend to fall back on certain excuses. Hey,
Mm,
listen, it's the economy. Oh my God, it's the price. But the reality is, we all buy on perception, and we all buy on emotion. And the reality is, we are not making our product worth more than the money that's sitting in their pocket. And as much as salespeople don't want to hear this, and frankly, when I lose a sale, I don't want to hear it, but we're just doing a bad job. We are not using the proper verbiage to get through to people that this is what they need to do. And granted, Donald, I'm not talking about persuading people against their will or selling them something they don't need. I
yeah.
don't believe in any of that. But if I have a worthwhile product and now I'm not able to sell you and separate you from the money you have in your pocket, it's me. It's not the
Mm.
customer. And I firmly believe that after training over 10,000 people, it's just the case.
So it often comes back to us, not necessarily what the client is maybe doing per se, or external environment. And I think the best exercise for this is when all things remain constant. It oftentimes we as sellers take ourselves out of the equation and we blame it on everything else. But in those situations, we should say, okay, everything is there. The customer is buying. We know they're interested. We know that there are other competitors out there and they pretty much have similar stuff to us. What is it that's the difference? And it's going back to, well, like you're saying, pointing the fingers back at myself. What did I do that may not be right? So I want to tackle this and I want to go into the idea behind this. You're one of the things we talked about at the very beginning is that you're not giving them a reason.
Right.
They, and I put the note down, they can't justify their purchase. Talk to me about this, and why is this such a big problem when our customers aren't buying from us?
Well, in neurolinguistic programming, we call this future pacing. And what we don't do often enough as salespeople is paint the picture of what their world will be like with the product in their hand. We get really kind of mesmerized by this thought of, if I just give features and benefits, I'm going to be great. And the reality is, features and benefits are perfect, but if the customer doesn't understand how those features and benefits will make the future better, it's just not going to work for them. And here's a great example. Let's say that I'm in the consulting business and I want to sell them a new sales training methodology. I can say it's going to make your people better and I'm the cheapest on the market and we can turn it around in 2 weeks. But that's all surface level stuff. What I need to do is say to them, so picture 6 months from now when your revenues have increased 20% with no extra time spent by your salespeople and with less phone calls. Think about how that's going to add to your bottom line. Well, now I painted a picture. And Donald, my firm belief is we're all taught when we start in sales, you don't sell the drill bit, you sell the hole. But I think that's wrong. I think you take that hole and let's say I'm going to hang a picture. So I don't sell the drill bit. I sell the ambiance of the room after the picture is hung. That's where the true sale takes place.
How do I get that to like so? How do I do that though? Because I think one of the things you mentioned to me before was like the word that we're using. Is that a part of this descriptive idea of selling that? In this case, ambiance.
Yeah, without a doubt. And when we think about our product, we're always told, let's say I'm promoting a drug as a sales rep. We're always told this drug does A and it interacts with B and it's covered by managed care C. But what we're not emphasizing is your patient was like this, but after they've been on my drug for a while, they are going to have a better life and they're going to be able to play with their kids. You need to sell that picture. And the best example, Donald, is look at the ads for cruise ships. Royal Caribbean does not sell the ticket buying process. They do not sell how many pieces of paperwork you're going to need to get on the ship. They don't even sell the ship. They sell people having fun, sitting in the sun, eating dinner. That's future pacing, and that's what makes them successful. And as salespeople, we don't often spend the time to paint that clear picture for the client.
Can you give me an so like if I'm a sales leader and I'm listening to this and I'm like thinking, dang it, this is great. How do I best teach this to my sellers so that they can adopt it? Is it just to describe it so well? Or like you had shared with me the idea of verbs versus nouns. Like, how do I coach them so that they can start doing this better?
Yeah, so you touched on something kind of cool, which is the verb to noun thing. First of all,
Mm,
is the way we present ourselves. So if you think of, let's say, two sentences, I love dogs and I'm a dog lover. So I switch from a verb of loving dogs to a dog lover, which is a noun. If you listen to that, it changes the complete way you view me. I'm a dog lover means that, yeah, I like dogs, but it could be transient.
yeah,
But if I'm a dog lover, it means I've always loved them. I love them now and I'll love them into the future.
interesting. And it also, I think that puts you in a different category. I feel
It does.
like for and just discussion purposes, like I feel like as a seller, or as a, I find people who are dog lovers, and I see them almost like enthusiast, like, or they have their own world that they're part of. And it's like you can, this is how I'm picturing in my mind, right? They're the people that take their dogs to, I don't know, like the best dog parks, or they have several, they maybe have several dogs, or they get the best food for their animals. They're in Facebook groups or whatnot, as opposed to, do you like dog or cat? I love dogs. Like, it's different when I'm a dog lover. I don't know if I'm making sense there. Like,
No, you make 100% sense. And this is part of the answer we were just talking about, Donald. So if I just say to somebody, if you love dogs, you'll buy this toy,
yeah,
that's a much different proposition than all dog lovers buy this toy.
interesting.
And here's the reason why. You know, the ball gets thrown 30% further and it stays durable under heavy chewers. So picture this toy lasting 6 months versus you buying four toys that are going to be destroyed within minutes.
And what I, from my as seller, it sounds like you're an expert at that point, because now, as a person that is doing that often with my dog, and you're painting that picture for me, I'm like, oh yeah, the last ball disintegrated, or it was punctured, or whatnot, or after grooming, like, if we don't do grooming, then by whatever the point is, like, that dog ball got damaged. But now you have done this with many different dog lovers who's validated this and who like this for this purpose. So therefore, you know what you're talking about. And for me, as the dog lover, associate you with our colony as a this
Exactly.
expert.
And
Yeah,
Donald, you brought up a great point right in there. You said about the product disintegrating.
yeah,
I've future paced the competition by telling the person that toy's going to break down. You're going to buy 8 of them. And
yeah.
I've future paced my product by saying it's going to be good 6 months from now and you're not going to have to buy another one. So I am clearly establishing a picture in that person's head of what is going to happen through the purchase of my product.
Absolutely love it. I think that's remarkable. This, guys, if you're not taking notes, you need to go listen to this episode again. Take some notes. The power of the word because. Can you give me an example? Let's keep running with this dog one, because
Yeah.
we bought, and the reason I'm thinking about this dog thing, I don't have an animal, a pet. I can't say I'm a dog lover. I'm probably in the first category. I love dogs over cats, but we don't have pets. But we wanted to get, we were going on a camp out. My wife, I wanted to get a glow in the dark ball so I can play catch with my son. He's just getting into baseball a little bit. So she bought one, but it was like the one that we only could find was, maybe this is an invention I need to create now, but the only one we found was one for a dog that glows in the dark if you're throwing for your doggy. And like you're saying, I'm thinking of this product because it's very like the silicone, and it's very pliable and has a hole in it, and it seems like it's very durable. And I imagine some of my friends with dog would probably appreciate it. But let's roll with that example still,
Yeah.
with the idea of because.
Yeah, so they did a great study on this called the Xerox experiment. And
Uh-huh.
what they did was they took a bunch of social scientist interns and they said, I want you to butt in line at a photocopier in a New York City public library. Now, as you may guess, New Yorkers aren't thrilled about people butting in line. So the interns had a
Mm-mm.
task ahead of them. And they were just said to jump in line and say, can I jump in line to make a copy? Well, Compliance was 0. So they said to the interns, okay, now go back in. And this time I want you to give a because statement and make it valid. Because I'm double parked, because I'm late getting home, because I need to get back to work. And what they found was compliance went up 60%. Now, on the surface, who cares? You
Yeah.
gave a great reason. Somebody was nice and they let you in. What does it matter? Well, the third part of the experiment is what mattered. What they did was they sent them in again and they said, this time I want you to use a nonsense reason. I want you to go in and say, I need to jump in line to make copies because I need to make copies. What they found was compliance was almost identical.
What?
Yes.
What?
So that leads to an interesting thought. It's the word because. You're triggering something in people's heads that gives a cause and effect. And Donald, think to when we were kids. Mom, why is the sky blue? Hey, Dad, why don't fish drown in water? Because. So we're kind of conditioned to think about the because and listen for the cause and effect. But the study shows that it may not matter what comes after the because. So in my opinion, when I'm teaching salespeople, you better be using the word because, and I don't care what comes after it. Just use it because studies show that increases compliance 60%.
Because studies show you use because.
Right.
All right, so let's think about it from a sales. Let's bring it now. So we set the example. I think you guys get it. Let's talk now. I'm a B2B sales professional, and let's say I'm selling a CRM software. And how can I use that because term with a buyer in maybe a discovery call I'm doing?
The reason you'd want to use my CRM is because all the other CRMs have been out there so long, they have really lost sight of what's important, and that's simplicity itself. So picture this. You have a CRM so simple, your salespeople want to use it. And instead of chasing them to put notes in, they've already done it. So you now have a fully accessible, fully stocked CRM with knowledge because you made the purchase today.
All right, I like that, and I think from anyone that's used CRM, I know I thought about thinking on that level. The way you're describing it makes it make sense because a lot of them are outdated.
Yeah.
they
Well, a lot of
they
people
can
don't
take
want to
advantage
use
of
them.
AI. Yeah, give us some. We're in this day and age. You should be able to utilize tools that's going to help us out, and not have us to do all the work ourselves.
And Donald, can I throw in a side note here?
Please.
I truly believe, and you're going to get hate mail and you can just forward it to me on this
Oh,
one.
junk.
But I truly believe that CRMs are one of the big reasons that we're failing in sales nowadays.
Oh,
We look at our
I need a because on
statistics.
that one.
What's that?
I said I need a because on that one.
Yeah. So here's your because. CRMs are used with the best intention.
Mm,
But what winds up happening then is we go in and we look at the reports and we
yeah.
find that we closed 1 out of every 20 people we spoke to. Now, in my book, that's a failure. If you're not closing more than 1 in 20, you need to reevaluate some things. But instead, many companies will take the past, say we only close 1 in 20, so we need to make 100 calls to close 5 people. And instead of reevaluating their sales, they take a past failure and they make it their goal for the future. And I
Mm,
blame CRMs for at least part of that.
interesting. Yeah. I can definitely see where that could come from, where, the historical data, we're taking stuff from past salespeople, some that probably weren't as great. And we're setting that as the standard of going across the board for the
Yep.
future. Makes interesting note there. So we got to because. So I got a team. If the mail comes, send it to Jake at.
Forward it right to me. I'll take it all.
All right. Well, Jake, let's jump down to number 2, because I know one of the things, the other point we talked about, why some of the buyers are not buying from us. The follow up is terrible.
It is.
Paint that picture for me on
Sure.
that one.
So here's the standard scenario that I see when I go into a client.
Yeah.
People will send out a proposal, or they'll send out a price quote, or they'll send out a request for some piece of information. A week will go by. The person will not follow up with them. So the sales representative follows up and says, hey, what'd you think of my quote? Hey, did you get my price? Hey, pushing this to the top of your inbox.
I hate that one.
Stop. Don't do that. Here's what you do instead. Google an article that is directly relevant to the person that you're talking to. Send them an email and say, saw this article, thought of you, attach the URL and send it. Here's what that does. You want to do this because what it does is it recreates that sales situation in the person's mind. And because you're giving them something, the law of reciprocation kicks in. And they think, oh my God, they sent me something that I could use. Crap, I owe them something.
Yes.
So most of the time, I'd say 70, 80% of the time, that person's going to get back to you and say, oh my God, Donald, I know I owed you that response. I'm really sorry. So now you have the power of forgiveness. No problem. I just wanted to give you this article. So I think our follow-up is kind of a nudge when it should be a, hey, I was just thinking of you. Here's something for you that I thought you might like.
I can. I've shared a story a couple times on a podcast. Actually, did a whole episode on it. There was a gentleman that I was following up with because my philosophy on follow up is that sometimes you find salespeople will do the just following up. I just absolutely hate that one. Or putting this, and maybe you could go back to the neurolinguistic programming from the standpoint of this, or the psychological point. When you tell me just putting this at the top of your inbox, to me, you're telling me yours is way more than the payroll that I'm taking care of, or the email for a client, and all these other stuff. I'm putting this at the top of your inbox, or I'm bumping this up. If I haven't gotten to it, there's probably a reason why I haven't gotten to it, because it's probably was a garbage sales pitch in the first place. But I often, but I often feel like it's makes this so much assumption on it, and just following up also just leads to this idea of subservientness. But what you're sharing, it comes back to this idea where we talked about point number one with painting that future picture. I can, if I understand what your world is like, I can help you solve problems relative to that issue, even if it doesn't necessarily tie directly to me. So again, go back to what you were saying. Let's say the CRM, and I'm working with a marketing director. The marketing director is overwhelmed trying to figure out leads and so forth, and all this other stuff. What if there was a change with Google and you found that article? It is something that's helping me. It might say, hey, Google had this latest change, saw this article, thought it made sense for you, and you guys are trying to, work with that stuff. I'm not a lead generation company. We're a CRM company, but that again helps to solidify the expertise and that you're a consultant to me. And so for all those reasons and more, I find those article podcasts or things like that way more interesting. So I love it.
Yeah. And Donald, you bring up a great point about the email and the psychological impact. And there's also one other tiny thing that it's saying to you is, dude, can't you keep up with your inbox?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it's actually
Yeah.
kind of a subtle slam that you're just not doing your job keeping up with things. I get these that say, hey, I looked at your website and I came up with 5 ideas to improve it. It's like, dude, did you just call my baby ugly? Is that what you just did?
Yeah.
And you want me to get back to you? Forget it. It's just not happening.
We had somebody that shared that one, Jeb Blunt, at one of his events. He talked about that, how sometimes sellers will do the whole "baby, you're ugly" thing.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like, come on, man, don't do that. So,
and there's one other way other than just sending the article is send a testimonial. Hey, Donald, you know what? I ran into a person that had the same situation as you, and we were able to help them. And here's what they said. Hit send.
Yeah.
Don't do an ask. Don't say, can you get back to me? Just a testimonial and send, because then you're giving social proof. You're not pressuring them or prodding them, and you're showing somebody else had your situation and I solved it and they loved it.
Yeah, very relatable at that point. Love it. I want to get one more point before we wrap up here. Yeah. Breaking conditions. People are conditioned to respond in certain ways. How can I well, let's talk about what are some of those conditions that they have, and then how can I help break that condition?
So to me, if a sales representative starts a conversation with, hi, how are you? I'm pulling them off the phones. It's as simple as that. Hi, how are you? Is just screaming that you're a rep. People know you don't care. And once you get that preconditioned thought in your head, other things start to fall into place. So they said, hi, how are you? So here they come, my preconditioned responses. I've already got one. It's way too expensive. I have to ask my partner, maybe next quarter.
Yeah.
So in order to get a genuine conversation, you need a genuine opener. I was out shopping with my wife the other day and I walked by a guy and I just nodded to him when we walked by. And I said, hey. And he looked over at me and said, good, thanks. How are you? The conversation never took place, but we're so conditioned. And if we can break conditioning, it's amazing the way conversations will take a different turn. So the best thing people can do is come up with a better way than, hi, how are you? And it might be, if I'm calling you, Donald, listen to your podcast all the time. I especially like the last episode you did where you said this. Couldn't wait for you to pick up the phone. Completely done. Right? But it actually takes research. So stop looking at those cat videos and do some research and then make the call.
Breaking the condition and giving them what I like about it was it made me want to talk now. Couldn't wait for you to pick up the phone. I wanted to learn why at that point, the curiosity aspect of it. Because you clearly did some kind of research to get to this point. So therefore, is it something regarding to the podcast that you just listened to, or is there something else that you saw? But you got me, couldn't wait for you to pick up the phone.
And Donald, this works even when you know it's coming. I was talking with a friend of mine, really good friend of mine the other day. He picked up the phone. I said, man, I couldn't wait to talk to you today. And he goes, really? So even when you know it's coming,
it's like this level of appreciation. Like, I don't know, like I'm excited to connect. Like I knew we were going to do this conversation. So therefore I couldn't wait or whatever it was. It makes me feel that I'm appreciated.
Exactly.
So I'm a sales leader. I'm just heard this episode. I think it's the most amazing thing. Definitely, I know I'm going to reach out to you, and I'm going to maybe I'm a hater on the emails, the CRM thing, so I'm going to send a letter there as well. But I want to do this with my team. Could this be like a stand-up thing that I do like once a week in some role play, or is this more of me coaching my reps on my one-on-ones with them, listening to tape? How can I best coach my sellers to make these change? Because I don't see this happening overnight. I've listened to one episode.
No, my advice is meet with them weekly. Get things that are working, get things that aren't, and by all means, listen to people's calls. My biggest advice to sales reps is listen to your own calls. Would you have bought from that person? And if it's a video call, this is the big one, turn off the sound. Would you buy from that person just on body language and enthusiasm alone? Because oftentimes we'll make a call and we'll go, man, that was awesome. And then you'll go back and listen to it and go, what the heck was I thinking? That was terrible. So feedback from the manager consistently, listening to your own stuff, and then always thinking to yourself, if there was no sound on and I was just watching that person, would I buy from them?
Yeah. Well, you got me at hello on this one. I feel like this topic is relevant and it's needed. If there is a leader out there, she or he or a rep, they want to get connected with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you, Jake?
Best way to reach out to me is through LinkedIn. I'm Jake Stahl on LinkedIn. I'm the only one that looks like me. And for those of you listening, I also have a company called Orchestraight. So you're going to look up Jake Stahl with the company Orchestraight.
Jake, pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. Truly appreciate you, and I'm excited I'm excited for this episode going out because I know our listeners really are going to benefit from it.
Thanks, Donald, for having me. It was a true pleasure to be here.
Same to you. Ooh. I'm telling you, man, Jake came and delivered today. I would love for you to go ahead and connect with him. You can find details about him in the show notes below. Tell him that you heard him here on the Sales Evangelist podcast. I want you to be able to fix these issues. I want you to not to repel these prospects anymore. I want you to actually do business with them. And the way you're going to do this is eliminate some of those things. I love that the whole verb and noun comparison. And then the because you need to go and connect with Josh because It's going to help your pipeline. It's going to help you when you are talking to some of those customers and it's so difficult to get them to actually convert. But you're going to see how easy it is to. I'm trying to do the cost thing, but you get the point. I want you to paint that picture. Life is going to be so great for you when you sit down with customers moving forward, because you've learned so many simple things that you can adjust, that they're going to all want to do business with you. How did I do on that one, Jake? I'm telling you, holla at your boy. Listen, if you enjoyed this episode, again, tell Jake you can find him on LinkedIn. As always, I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. I want you to raise your level of thinking. But most importantly, I want you to go out and do big things. Thanks for listening.